Hello, this week I'm doing a series on the top 5 reasons you should vote one Victorian Socialists. The third reason is this: Socialists have long been active participants in struggles for climate action, for queer rights, for justice for First Nations people, and against racism towards migrants and refugees. A Socialist in Parliament would use the platform to amplify and help strengthen those fights. We don't just do politics at election time. We recognise that real change can't be won by just winning seats in Parliament. The capitalists can influence politics both directly and indirectly through their economic power. We see this with climate change. Despite overwhelming scientific evidence of the need to rapidly reduce global emissions, they continue to grow, and Australia is among the worst offenders. This isn't because politicians don't understand the science, it's because of the immense influence of the fossil fuel industries on Australian and global political life. We won't beat that power by trying to lobby politicians in the same way that they do. We simply don't have the money for it. What we do have is numbers. Capitalist politicians have never delivered significant change in the interests of workers and oppressed people just out of the goodness of their hearts. They've done it because they've been scared of the power of mass action on the streets and in workplaces. The peak period for progressive change in Australia was in the late 1960s and early 70s. This was when First Nations people gained limited land rights and when the queer community first came forward to forcefully demand and ultimately receive recognition and rights. This wasn't because the politicians suddenly all changed their minds about these things. It's because it was a time of widespread protest and of workers' strikes. Things like the BLF green bans. The capitalist class and their servants in Parliament were scared. They delivered progressive reforms because they were worried about what those protests and strikes would become if they didn't. To really move things forward today on issues like climate action or First Nations justice, we need to rebuild that kind of power and make the bosses afraid again. A socialist in Parliament would devote themselves to that task. It's one of the reasons for our policy of only accepting an average worker's wage of around $92,000 and putting the rest of our parliamentary salary, around $140K, towards progressive campaigns in our communities. Wherever people are taking direct action against the fossil fuel industry, standing against racism, or organising and striking at work, a socialist in Parliament would do whatever we can to help. VS members did this late last year when Woolies warehouse workers went on strike, and will keep doing that even if we don't have any seats in Parliament. But if we did win a spot in this election, we'd be able to do so much more. And that's the third reason you should vote one Victorian Socialists.
Authorised by C. Oakley, Victorian Socialist, Brunswick.